Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight to your news at 9.
Nearly all districts in our area have dropped their mask mandates, but now the question is, should masks still be required for unvaccinated students? I'm Chris Warner. We'll hear from a local health expert and from a local school district on what their thoughts are on how the plan should look going forward.
Also going to hear about 3 local Kansas counties that will be featured by a tourism organization.
The CEO of a major U.S. company explains why he paid a secret $5 million ransom to hackers. I'm Caroline Shively. I'll have that story coming up.
Nick Kelly has weather tonight. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. A Kansas, Oklahoma man is dead after a crash on Oklahoma 10 at Hidden Valley Road. The Oklahoma State Highway Patrol says 68-year-old Terrell Parvin ran his Jeep off the road down an embankment. During the crash, Parvin was thrown 15 feet from his vehicle. Parvin passed away at the scene. Kansas Highway Patrol says a single vehicle crash near Prescott killed a 20-year-old Mound City man. Happened on East 300. The Highway Patrol says Aaron Goodall's tires slipped off the road and his truck overturned. Goodall passed away at the scene. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Very spotty showers today.
Yeah, even if some people did pick up on that, Jordan, we still had a pretty warm day across the area. Joplin picked up a little rain, but that didn't stop them from hitting 86 after a mild start in the mid-60s this morning. The random showers, a couple storms we had out there, pretty much falling apart now, but we're going to hold on to some partly cloudy skies as we go through the overnight. Still, our main upper level low spinning across southern Illinois now. As long as that's still around, that's going to try and bring some more spotty showers and storms tomorrow. But during the overnight, looking pretty quiet here, Jordan. We'll see temperatures dropping back into the upper 60s. A quiet night, but the thermometer is going to really start ticking up this weekend. We'll break down the numbers here in a bit.
Plenty of water, right? I will. See you in a little bit. Thank you so much, Nick. As vaccine trials expand to younger children, there's discussions on whether unvaccinated students should be required to still mask up. KOM's Chris Warner spoke with one local school district and health official. Chris has more.
School is out for the summer, save summer school, and districts are already looking ahead to the fall by looking back at what they've learned. One of those things is the effectiveness of masks against things beyond the coronavirus.
If something else happens, hopefully not as bad as this pandemic, that potentially masks could help slow down the spread of germs.
The challenge districts are facing is whether or not to mandate masks for unvaccinated students for the upcoming year. In Carthage, they're testing a voluntary mask policy right now.
During our summer school right now, we're experimenting not wearing masks, and so far things are going well. We're in our second week. We have not had any type of spike. We don't have any positive cases right now.
Mercy's infectious disease preventionist Donna Stokes says there's 2 sides to the mandate coin. One, the impact on students' mental and social health. The other, their safety.
What the research is showing us is that in those age groups, yes, they can get COVID. The illness seems to be less severe with less severe complications.
Stokes says she expects masking to vary across the region.
I know that different states and even different school districts are already starting to try and make that decision. What are they going to do with those grade school age children when school starts?
As for Carthage, they're already prepped for the fall.
I think we'll always have a voluntary option to wearing a mask. Some parents might feel like it's the best thing for their child. We will not require it unless something happens.
In Carthage, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Stokes says it's going to be important for local school districts to stay in close communication with their local health officials and be prepared to pivot to mask mandates on short notice. Well, diet could play a role in how sick a person gets from COVID-19. New findings in the British Medical Journal show people with plant-based or fish-based diets were up to 73% less likely to experience severe symptoms. Doctors believe the nutrients found in those vegetables and healthy fish help boost a person's immune system. Pfizer is moving forward with vaccine trials in children younger than 12. This coming as the nation's vaccine rollout slows down. Fox News correspondent Steve Harrigan has more.
Younger children could soon be lining up for a COVID-19 shot. Pfizer announced it will begin testing its vaccine on a larger group of children under age 12. In an early stage of the trial, the drug maker selected a lower dose for this age group. Up to 4,500 children will be enrolled at clinical sites in the U.S., Finland, Poland, and Spain.
There's been minimal side effects from my understanding, so I was very prepared to have them participate with little concern as possible.
Nationwide, the vaccination rate has slowed to less than 1 million shots per day. CDC data shows just 13 states have met President Biden's goal of vaccinating 70% of adults with at least one shot by July 4th.
Places where we haven't reached that goal yet, we remain very focused on helping those states. So I would not say that we feel like someone hasn't, quote unquote, done their jobs.
Meanwhile, more lawmakers are calling for an independent investigation into the origins of COVID-19. According to the Wall Street Journal, a classified report from last year found it was possible the virus escaped from a Wuhan, China lab. The May 2020 study came from a government-backed laboratory.
I think it's on a number of levels incorrect. The Trump administration, it's my understanding, had real concerns about the methodology of that study, the quality of the analysis, bending evidence to fit preconceived narratives.
An intelligence review into the origins of the virus is expected to be released this summer. In Atlanta, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
An organization announces plans to showcase some Southeast Kansas counties next year. Big Kansas Road Trip is an annual event that chooses 3 nearby Kansas counties and works with local community and business leaders to showcase what those counties are all about. Today, the organization announced next year's event will focus on Bourbon, Cherokee, and Crawford counties. Officials say they want people to see what these counties are all about.
The best ways to help sustain communities across the state is to invite the public into them, to understand them, to get to know them, to realize that Kansas is not dull and boring, that we have some great assets. We can have fun in Kansas.
Next year's events will take place from May 5th to the 8th. Today, the CEO of Colonial Pipeline fielded questions from Congress on last month's hack attack, which led to, of course, gas shortages, price spikes as well. It came a day after the federal government announced they're going to recover, or they have recovered, almost half the ransom. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has these details.
On Tuesday, the head of Colonial Pipeline detailed for senators how he secretly paid hackers $5 million after they shut down gas delivery up and down the East Coast last month, and said he'd do it again if he had to.
We got the pipeline restarted on Wednesday. It's the absolute right decision to make, and I'd do it again under the same circumstances.
But lawmakers argue that when one company pays, it makes all U.S. companies a target.
Well, certainly paying ransom just encourages more ransom.
The Colonial CEO also told senators that private companies need help from the feds.
Private industry alone can't do everything.
Now Congress is grappling with just how much they should intervene in the private sector.
When critical infrastructure is run by a private entity, that there need to be some rules and some frameworks to make sure that the interests of the American people are served.
The government's not particularly nimble at keeping up to date on standards, so that's why I've continued to propose a combination insurance, some type of private sector certification process that can stay as up to date as possible.
All sides seem to agree that the U.S. needs to hit back hard at the hackers.
We need to start melting people's equipment, emptying people's bank accounts, and setting up a deterrent. We have never effectively done that, and it's time for that to change.
Experts say it's not a matter of if hackers will hit another critical U.S. industry, but when. And next time, it could be much more serious than a temporary gas shortage. Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor one of our 4-state heroes. John Grayson is part of the U.S. Army, having spent time in Afghanistan and Iraq. He now works at the Joplin Army Recruiting Station. And we are proud to thank and salute Staff Sergeant John Grayson. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Nick Kelly's up next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, a former local baseball standout beginning his career on the racetrack. We're going to have that story in sports.
We kept things pretty warm once again today. That's despite the same weather setup stuck in place once again, where everyone had a quiet start in the morning. Then once the afternoon warmth and humidity built on up, it led to some widely scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms. Nothing severe, thankfully, though. And at least from Indigo Sky Casino and Resorts perspective, outside of Seneca, Missouri, that part of the area stayed relatively dry for today. Again, though, after a quiet start this morning, there was that usual scattering of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. And again, nothing too terribly heavy, but at the strongest, these showers put down some moderate to heavy pockets of rain, which for a few spots push your rain amounts for today between half an inch and maybe an inch tops. Right now, though, not seeing a whole lot on the radar, maybe a couple of weak echoes around the windmill farms close to Nashville, Missouri. Other than that, we're drying out once again as we head into the late night. Not to mention, looks pretty good with the setting sun from 7th and Range Line, creating a nice contrast against the clouds. 78 in Joplin, feels like 80 though, with the dew point still in the lower 70s. So yeah, we are cooling down, but it's still warm and it's kind of humid outside still. Upper 70s to near 80 degrees across much of the area. You factor in the humidity, it still feels like maybe a degree or two warmer, but we'll eventually drop back into the upper 60s tonight while we deserve and take advantage of a break in our random rain chances. But any stronger severe storms today stayed once again across the deep south. The big picture at the surface, this front is stuck to our north and west. This might try to come our way as we head toward early next week. Until it does, though, in the short term, we still have a few more days of random showers and thunderstorms, courtesy of this upper low spinning across Illinois. Once that finally moves along, it's all about this upper level ridge. It's building across Mexico, but once it comes into play, an early taste of summer heat is going to come our way as well. In the meantime, though, again, we're quiet overnight. We'll just hold on to partly cloudy skies, temperatures upper 60s to near 70. And we'll just do it again tomorrow. Partly sunny skies to start the afternoon. A few isolated showers, maybe a random storm or two. Like the past few days, nothing severe expected, but pockets of heavy rain can't be ruled out. 69 in the morning, 82 by noon. Afternoon highs around 87. Any random showers or storms to start Wednesday evening out, they'll fade away after sunset. Quiet to start Thursday morning out, and then a little warmer for your Thursday with highs pushing into the upper 80s. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you hit 90 before tomorrow afternoon. Make that Thursday afternoon is all said and done. While we continue to keep an eye on some systems riding around the ridge that could bring some scattered storms our way into the weekend, again, it's all about this upper level ridge pushing us into the lower 90s early next week. But we'll have to watch for a particular system or two running around the ridge, maybe by next Tuesday. That could bring a good shot for some scattered strong thunderstorms our way. But we've been holding off on these temperatures for so long, but the summer heat, we're getting a little taste of it pretty soon. 87 tomorrow, 88 Thursday, near 90 Friday and Saturday, Jordan, and maybe lower 90s Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, I'm not used to that humidity, but
No, I'm not.
No, but you know what? It's not going away, so we better get used to it. Yeah, Nick Kelly, all right, thank you. Coming up, another true crime story that may be hard to believe at first.
A global FBI sting results in hundreds of arrests in more than a dozen countries. I'm Benjamin Hall in London. Details on the incredible phone app used to track down these criminals coming up next.
FBI and law enforcement agencies across the globe dealt an unprecedented blow to organized crime by developing an app to track their criminal activities, then swooping in to make mass arrests in more than a dozen countries. Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall has more from London.
It sounds like a movie plot, but in reality it was an unprecedented worldwide sting operation, spearheaded by the FBI, that took down dangerous crime rings by exploiting an encrypted phone app used by the suspects.
The very devices that the criminals used to hide their crimes were actually a beacon for law enforcement.
The operation, known as Trojan Shield, led to police raids in 16 countries, resulting in more than 500 arrests, the seizure of more than 32 tons of drugs, hundreds of guns, and nearly $150 million. The encrypted phones used by the gangs couldn't make calls or browse the internet. Instead, they were a platform for secure messaging, so members could openly discuss criminal plans. Following the takedown of two other widely used encrypted platforms, the FBI began working with a collaborator who developed a new secure messaging platform for the criminal underworld called Anom.
Every single person who used Anom used it for a criminal purpose.
Phones were distributed by middlemen to more than 300 gangs operating in more than 100 countries. And over the past year and a half, users who thought the app was safe disclosed their plans for illegal activities, including details of drug shipments, money laundering and planned killings. However, the app was secretly run by law enforcement, who read more than 20 million messages from nearly 12,000 devices.
The FBI received a copy of each and every message originating outside the United States that crossed our platform, similar to a blind copy of an email.
Authorities say the Anom app was most widely used in Australia, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain and Serbia. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
Just ahead, cleanup after severe weather.
A massive tornado touching down outside of Denver, Colorado, and it was all caught on camera. I'm Jackie Ibanez with the latest on the damage and recovery efforts straight ahead.
A dangerous twister slamming Colorado, and although crews are still assessing the damage, first responders say it appears no human lives were lost. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more on the destruction left behind and how some people scrambled to make it out alive.
My husband came running in the house saying, "Get down, there's a tornado."
Folks across northern Colorado are picking up the pieces after a tornado touched down in Weld County. Monday's storm system wreaking havoc along roughly 14 miles in the area outside of Denver, smashing through homes, toppling over trees and power lines, and sending debris flying.
Here's the side of an outhouse laying back there. I don't have an outhouse.
It came so fast, one resident watched in horror as the twister inched closer to his daughter's house.
I don't normally panic, but I was on the phone and she's like, "You're kidding." I said, "I would never kid about that. It's hitting your house."
Others were sent ducking for cover as their homes seemed to explode around them.
Boom! Like you threw a baseball right through.
It was so loud you didn't know what to think.
The tornado's might proving it was no laughing matter, as weather experts say the lightning and hail accompanying the storm made matters worse.
It shakes you up, I'll tell you. I've never been through nothing like this in my life.
But as cleanup efforts remain underway, many folks are still counting their blessings.
I'm thankful we're alive, that we did not get hurt.
But the worst could be yet to come. Tornadoes claimed at least 76 lives last year, and forecasters are now warning people to prepare for a potentially rough season in 2021, as it's expected this year's storm fronts could be worse. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Special reunion turns a dog's body language completely around. Coming up, the story of this dog's journey, more than 200 miles away from home. As you watch this next video, look at how a dog's demeanor quickly changes. A reunion for a family from Georgia. Look at that. Oh, see that? And their dog, who was found 240 miles from home. The family is from Savannah, by the way. Their dog, Ashley, somehow wound up in Daytona Beach, Florida. Ashley had no microchip, so the Halifax Humane Society, which is based in Florida, put the dog up for adoption. Meanwhile, an advocate for lost dogs saw a posting on the internet from Ashley's owner. The advocate thought the dog in Daytona might be Ashley and contacted the owner, who rushed down to Florida, leading to this reunion. Oh, look at that. I just love this story. I love dogs. I know I've said that before, but I love dogs. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to catch up with a man who's becoming homeless for a week, hoping to better understand the needs of the homeless community. Plus,
raising taxes and defining what infrastructure is are the key questions between the Senate and the White House as they try to hammer out a bipartisan deal on the spending plan. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with the latest details on the talks.
one homelessness advocate is working to improve the lives of the homeless population in Joplin. To better understand how to best meet their needs, he decided to join them. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky tells us what he's learned so far.
Just trying to create awareness so that people will see that there's folks out here wanting to do something.
Joe Johnson, also known as the Accidental Activist, is the director of an organization addressing those experiencing homelessness in Joplin called HEAT.
Spending a week being homeless, I left my home. I'm sleeping in a tent in an undisclosed location. I have just the basic needs and not taking any donations from anybody.
Now, he's using the next 7 days to better understand what he can do to help Joplin's homeless.
I have had people honk, give me thumbs up. I've had people yell at me, get a job.
And with temperatures getting warmer, he's had to figure out how to stay safe in the heat.
When we're done here, I'm going to go sit in the shade right behind me, and that's about it. There just aren't options. Places that are open during the day, they close eventually. And so it's just figure it out. Being homeless is just figuring it out.
Diana Gurley, executive director of Souls Harbor, a shelter and cooling center in Joplin, says rising temperatures can be concerning, especially for those without shelter.
They're out there and they're in the heat, the humidity, it will dehydrate them really quickly, and so then they get all that heat exposure and then they start having heat strokes.
Gurley adds that having someone in this field get a small glimpse of what the homeless population experience every day will help when it comes to taking care of them. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
For anyone experiencing homelessness in need of a cooling center, Souls Harbor is open from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Joplin's Cunningham Aquatic Center is going to open this weekend only, but the Schifferdecker Aquatic Center will be closed for a Joplin Stingrays swim team meet. Joplin Parks and Rec Department says they have not been able to hire enough lifeguards to open all city pools every weekend. The season's normal operating schedule for Joplin pools will resume on Monday, the 14th. As the weather heats up and COVID restrictions lift, more people are flocking to lakes and rivers, and canoes and kayaks are popular ways to enjoy the water. To help people learn more about the water crafts, the Missouri Department of Conservation today hosted clinics at Kellogg Lake in Carthage. The introduction to canoe and kayak taught people about basic equipment and techniques for safely using Missouri's streams and lakes.
I just like teaching folks how to do something new. You know, it's as a conservation educator, I get a chance to do lots of stuff, but actually, you know, sharing a new skill with someone and kind of watching them from really at the beginning and then moving forward and learning how to do that skill effectively is huge. And I think that's an important thing that everybody needs to be able to do.
Clinics were open to anyone ages 7 and up. Some area kids worked on their green thumb in Webb City today. The Webb City Farmers Market hosted a kids gardening club. That looks awesome. The club is designed for kiddos to learn about starting their own gardens and how to keep that garden thriving.
I think it's a lifelong skill when you teach a child to garden. It's something they can do throughout their life. It helps them connect to their food so that they can perhaps make healthier choices and be proud of the food that they're eating.
Every child was able to take home a seed project to begin their own gardens. Some of the best clay shooters in the country are in the area competing at the Claythorne Lodge over in Columbus, Kansas. It's the U.S. Open for this sport. Also an important event for tourism organizations over in Joplin, Cherokee, Crawford, and Labette counties.
This sport has given me many opportunities, many accomplishments, and some failures. But you know, the failures help me learn and keep on learning. And that's how I become better and better. And I love this sport.
The U.S. Open at the Claythorne Lodge goes until Sunday. All right, new rules for Subway stores. They have to stay open even during terror attacks. The restaurant chain is reportedly making some harsh new demands in new 20-year contract for Subway franchise owners. One rule requires owners to keep their doors open even during a snowstorm, electrical outage, or yes, a terrorist attack, as previously noted. Subway stores that close more than once a year without permission, barring, quote, an act of God, risk being taken over by the company. If they do close without permission, they're going to have to fork over 10% of their gross revenue. Some angry store owners are now threatening to walk away from the company. President Biden and a lead Republican negotiator on infrastructure met again today, but both sides are nowhere closer to striking a deal on the spending plan. Fox's Madeline Rivera is in D.C. with the latest updates from lawmakers.
On Capitol Hill, hopes for a bipartisan deal on infrastructure seem to be dwindling. President Biden and a group of Senate Republicans led by Senator Shelley Moore Capito are still deeply divided about the package, despite ongoing talks.
The latest offer that we had seen from Senator Capito's group did not meet the essential needs of our country to restore roads and bridges, prepare us for a clean energy future, and create jobs.
On Friday, the president rejected a $50 billion increase to the $928 billion counteroffer Republicans had released last month. Mr. Biden says he wants at least $1 trillion in new spending. And there's the issue of how to pay for the plan. In a tweet Tuesday morning, the president says while he refuses to raise taxes on Americans making under $400,000 a year, it's long past time for the wealthy and corporations to pay their fair share, a non-starter for Republicans.
The last time to ever raise taxes is when you're coming out of still trying to recover from a pandemic.
Meanwhile, a group of bipartisan lawmakers are reportedly working on a roughly $878 billion infrastructure proposal to be paid for over the next 5 to 8 years, should talks between the president and Capitol fail. But some are less optimistic.
It's pretty clear the era of bipartisanship is over.
Senator Mitt Romney, who's helping craft that bipartisan backup proposal, says besides reaching a final number, his subcommittee has also outlined how the plan would be paid for and how the money would be spent, but did not release more details. In Washington, Malda Rivera, Fox News.
A bit later to infinity and beyond.
Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is on his way to space, and get this, you may be able to go along with. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington with more on the historic journey to space and just how much it might cost. That's just ahead.
We managed to keep things warm yet again for today, despite the same weather setup stuck in place for I think the past several days. We've had a quiet start in the morning once again, but at least from this vantage point, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, your view of the four states looked pretty calm throughout the course of the day, even as we bounced back and forth between partly sunny and some mostly cloudy skies as the afternoon warmth and moisture tried to billow up in some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms. Again, we were quiet in the morning, then in the afternoon, that's when they blossomed on up once again. This is, again, what we usually expect to start the late spring, early summer stretch out during this part of the month of June. And just like the past several days, after we get past sunset, whatever we had to start the evening out, it's pretty much gone. So we'll try to do this again tomorrow, but at least we could take solace knowing that we're dry for the rest of the night. It certainly applies right now from 7th and Range Line. Partly cloudy skies up top, 78 degrees. Feels like 80 though, with a little bit of sluggishness in the air. That dew point sitting at a kind of soupy 72. The same applies for much of the area really. A couple mid 70s closer to Table Rock Lake, but most of us mid to upper 70s. But a few spots like Chanute and Fredonia near 80. You factor in the humidity, it feels maybe a hair or two warmer in terms of degrees as you venture outside if you have any late night errands to run. In the meantime, though, any big-time storms once again staying across parts of the deep south where they had to deal with severe weather once again across parts of Mississippi, I think even parts of Arkansas and Louisiana. Nothing at the surface really stands out to me except for this stubborn front stuck to our north and west. That might try to make a run for us early next week to try and dry things out for a little bit. But the upper level setup is really in control. This stubborn upper level low over Illinois still trying to give us another shot for a few random showers and storms tomorrow afternoon. But again, we're looking good for the overnight. Partly cloudy skies, sure, but we're dry going into your Wednesday morning as lows drop back into the upper 60s. Fast forward to tomorrow afternoon, we'll just do it again. Partly sunny skies, a few isolated showers and storms. Nothing too strong, but if they can get going, and they could certainly bring in some more moderate to heavy pockets of rain. 69 in the morning, 72 by noon, afternoon highs around 87. If we have any storms to start tomorrow evening out, they'll fade away after sunset. Quiet to start Thursday morning, and we'll try and do it again Thursday with highs pushing into the upper 80s. And some of you might get close to 90 by Thursday afternoon. If some of us don't hit 90 on Thursday, as this ridge continues to build in, we'll certainly approach the lower 90s as we get into the coming weekend. But we'll keep an eye for any disturbances that might ride along the jet. That's why I have some scattered storms in the forecast for Friday and Saturday. In fact, I'll show you that right now on the 7-day forecast. A few isolated showers, maybe a couple storms tomorrow and Thursday. Highs in the upper 80s, near 90 Friday and Saturday. We'll watch for some scattered storm chances both of those days. But that upper level ridge, Jordan, we are going to feel some early summer heat, especially with 91 on Sunday and 92 on Monday.
Yeah, again, important to drink that water.
Yeah, stay hydrated and stay cool.
Definitely. Nick Kelly, thank you. Coming up in sports, former Southeast Kansas baseball standout continues a family tradition and begins his racing career. Plus, American Legion baseball tonight in Pittsburgh. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Joplin Outlaws suffered their first loss of the season last night, falling to St. Joe 8-5. And with that loss, the Outlaws are now 3-1 through their first 4 games. Now tonight, Joplin on the road for the first time this summer, facing the Nevada Griffins. Now, this one actually just went final. Nevada wins it 4-3. Chase Bider gets a walk-off single in the bottom of the 9th for the Griffins. Now, the Outlaws have tomorrow off before hosting Sedalia on Thursday. American Legion baseball here. Pittsburgh Post 64 at home against Montgomery County. Bottom of the 3rd inning, game still scoreless. Ethan Light drops it into left center. Brings Gavin Wampler home. Patriots up 1. Then Blaine Dunston, grounder past first. That'll bring in 2. Puts Post 64 up by 3. Later on, same inning, Brett Sutterby, rocket through the left side. That will bring in 2 more. Patriots go up 6 runs after the 3rd. Cardinals try to respond here. Ryan Leiker through the left side. That will score a run. Patriots, though, still up by 5. Then in the bottom of the 5th, Caston Fields with a 2-run RBI to center. That's enough to end this one early. Pittsburgh Post 64 gets the win 12-1 in 5 innings. Well, Jarrett Dotson was an all-state pitcher for Baxter Springs High School and a 4-year player for Pitt State baseball. He was the Kansas Pitcher of the Year at Baxter and led him to a state championship in 2016. Now, though, with baseball behind him, Dotson has found a new way to keep competing. He's been a pitcher for most of his life, but now
I always have had a love for going fast.
He has moved on to the racetrack.
Yeah, it's just one of the best feelings in the world, honestly.
Just 1 week after finishing his baseball career at Pitt State, Jarrett Dotson jumped in a car and competed in his first race.
I'm a lot more nervous getting in this race car sometimes before races than I really ever was in baseball, which is kind of funny because I've played in some pretty big games here and there.
When he was pitching, he was in control. He was out there. It was his game to win or lose. And you get into these cars and, you know, when you've got 16 of them bunched up, you know, at 80 to 100 miles an hour, there's not much room for error.
Racing is a family tradition for Dotson, with both his dad and grandpa competing before him.
I had the privilege of racing back in the 90s at Joplin. We raced all over the Midwest and had some success, but as a dad, watching your son excel and achieving what his dream to come true is far superior to anything that I've ever done.
He even built his first car with his dad last winter.
If you're into mechanics and cars and stuff like that, getting to build a car with your dad is one of the coolest things that you can do as a kid.
I got to do that with my dad, you know, and my dad went to heaven a long time ago. And for him and I to be under the race car working together and me explaining and sharing my knowledge, it's just been a really special time for he and I. Just sharing something like this is something he and I can do for many years to come. So we're excited about the future of what Jarrett has the opportunity to do in these race cars.
Dotson is just getting started and has bigger plans for his racing career. For now, though,
you know, we'll cross that road when we come to it. I'm just trying to get us through this first season first without really tearing anything up.
Dotson has competed in 4 races in the last 2 weeks. He's already picked up his first top 10 finish on Friday night, and he plans on being right back out there this weekend. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Amazon's Jeff Bezos is about to make history and cross off an item off his bucket list as he prepares to go to space. You might be asking yourself, all right, what about my bucket list? Huh? Well, you could have the chance to go join him if, can you guess why or how? If you have a lot of dough just sitting around. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork reports.
You see the Earth from space, it changes you. It changes your relationship with this planet, with humanity.
Jeff Bezos is heading for the stars, literally. The Amazon CEO announcing he will ride his aerospace company's own rocket into the final frontier. The Blue Origin craft, called New Shepard, is expected to launch from Texas July 20th.
It's an adventure. It's a big deal for me.
Setting up Bezos as the first billionaire with a private space fleet to actually fly on board one of his ships, while also letting the soon-to-be intergalactic tourist fulfill a lifelong dream of going to space.
I really want you to come with me. Would you?
Are you serious?
I am. I think it would be meaningful.
And the journey is gearing up to be a family affair, as Bezos says he's bringing his brother along for the ride.
I wasn't even expecting him to say that he was going to be on the first flight. And then when he asked me to go along, I was just awestruck.
But now you can also have a shot at joining the Bezos brothers as they head for infinity and beyond.
Bid for the first seat on New Shepard.
Blue Origin is auctioning off a seat on New Shepard, which as of Monday was valued at, wait for it, $3.2 million. The bidding ends on June the 12th, with the proceeds benefiting a group called Club for the Future. It's actually a nonprofit that helps to teach kids about math, science, and of course, space. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
Good gosh, I'm mad after that story. I guess it comes from jealousy. Oh well. Gonna check out a new movie set to premiere in July. Plus some other Hollywood news. Hollywood Nation coming your way. Still mad about that space story, but I'll move on. Netflix teaming up with another A-list star in a classic comedy is heading back to theaters. Fox's Ashton Dvorkin has the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
So what's the score?
Cheadle leads, the Birdcage celebrates, and J-Lo makes a deal in the Hollywood Nation. Jennifer Lopez is teaming up with Netflix to create content. The 51-year-old star and her company, New York Productions, signed a multi-year first-look deal with the streaming giant. Lopez and her producing partners will develop feature films, TV series, and unscripted content that will support diverse female actors, writers, and filmmakers.
Oh, I could play it straight?
Armand and Albert are heading back to the big screen. The hit 1996 comedy starring the late Robin Williams and Nathan Lane returns to select theaters for a limited time, starting June 27th in celebration of its 25th anniversary and Pride Month.
I'm gonna get what's mine.
And HBO Max has released the trailer to Steven Soderbergh's upcoming heist thriller, No Sudden Move. Don Cheadle and Benicio del Toro lead the star-studded cast that includes David Harbour, Ray Liotta, and John Hamm. The story is set in 1956 Detroit and follows a group of small-time criminals hired to do a simple job that goes wrong. And they work together to find out who hired them and for what purpose. It premieres July 1st.
You having a good time?
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a yet-to-be-named baby sloth at a zoo in Florida. Hey, little man, be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.